Hello, and welcome to the next part of Koharu's After Story from White Album 2. On the last episode, Koharu had just joined Kaioh Graph. She's in her first year of university. She's now a part-timer at the same place where her boyfriend Haruki works, and they're out celebrating the new employee, as is common in Japan. They keep needling her about having been dating Haruki and currently dating Haruki, and she doesn't like it all that much. She doesn't like all this teasing, much like goodies. So, let's go ahead and continue on. Alright, next, I want you to tell me what kind of event took place between the two of you back then. All you have to do is answer yes or no. I'm not going to answer. I'm not answering anything. I see. So was there some kind of trouble surrounding your future paths in life, for example? I said I'm not going to answer. Or a conflict between friendship and love? A love triangle? One of you is already in a relationship? Why are you interrogating me like this? This accusation, to anyone who knew Koharu, would probably be like a boomerang, demonstrating an astonishing level of insistence upon playing innocent, but she just couldn't keep quiet. Don't tell me I hit the mark. Not at all, not even remotely, not even this much. In the sort of voice used to praise someone for giving the perfect answer. Please, just give me a break already, Suzuki-san. Sorry. That's the thing about work parties, though. Everybody does make fun of each other, and it's supposed to bring you closer. Although she's very sensitive about these things, especially now. The peak of the welcome party, the table that had reached the point of complete informality. On top of which, within 30 minutes, Koharu had lined up 5 glasses of shochu and was letting loose with her complaints. That's so dangerous. I will have you know, 1 glass of shochu is usually about 2 shots worth, which means Koharu took like 10 shots in 30 minutes. That's binge drinking. That is super, super dangerous. Do not do that at home. The number of glasses was a fair match to the number of times Suzuki had hit the send email button in the same 30 minutes. But it seemed as though she had now been blocked, and a disparity was gradually starting to open up. Look, we may be working in the same place now, but it's still only the 2nd day we've known each other. Well, but we've already been associating with Kitahara-kun for over 3 years. What does that have to do with... Sorry, Sugiura-san. To sum it up, Suzuki, or really all of us, have been using you as a way of investigating Kitahara. Huh? At this voice suddenly cutting in, Koharu raised her face and fixed her eyes right in front of her. He hardly ever talks about himself. After we've known him for so long, there are things we wish he'd confide in us or rely on us for, even on a private level. So that makes sense too, because Haruki was never ever the type to accept these kinds of invitations, after work invitations and so on. If they asked him to work more, of course, but if they were like, hey, let's get to know each other on a social level, he was like, nope, I'm going home. At some point, 2 veterans of the Kaioh Graph, Hamada and Kizaki, had turned to Koharu with friendly gazes. And suddenly we find Kitahara's girlfriend? Now there's a once-in-a-lifetime chance, especially for that rumor-mongering busybody of a woman. Oh, that's harsh. You were the one who came up with this strategy in the first place, Hamada-san. But I never told you to barge into that territory so blatantly. You may as well have the moment you said we would use Suzuki. Hey, Kizaki, whose side are you on? They're just a bunch of gossips. That's all it is. Kaioh Graph gossip. Now, under the circumstances, the secret spilled, a targeted attack instigated by everyone except Matsuoka. Koharu couldn't simply force a smile, but stared dumbfounded into their 3 faces. Well, sorry about that. We got a little carried away. I'm sorry, Kohachi. No, it's not really that. Still, she couldn't find it in herself to blame them either, because 2 years earlier, she had done exactly that. She had met a university student 3 years her senior, fought with him, worked with him, somehow been unable to get along with him, somehow found herself getting interested in him because of it. And that's the same line as was mentioned in the beginning, which I love it when they repeat lines like that. It's nice. Run around to every acquaintance she could find, gotten angry, sulked, all for the sake of learning about his past. And so, 2 months later, when he finally told her about his high school heartaches, the regrets he still held, and the people who were constantly in his heart, how happy she was. Because she remembered being so happy that she fell in love. A love that was forbidden in every possible sense. I mean, not really. Your friend had a crush on him and got rejected. It really should not mean that it was super forbidden, but... And, you know, back in the day, there were some things about Kitahara-kun that made you kind of nervous just looking at him. It's kind of still like that. Yeah, almost like a self-destructive tendency, working without any real consideration for himself. We didn't notice it at first, but his boss at his first job had a sharp eye for that sort of thing. Didn't have much of a sense of the way other people were looking at her, though, that Mari-san. But now, Kitahara is completely different. A lot calmer. It's nice. Does he seem that way? Can everybody see that? So this change got us all wondering whether he might have found himself a really great girl. Is because of your appearance on the scene. Listening to this nosy yet pleasant conversation between the three people, Koharu felt her cheeks flushing, and it wasn't because of the alcohol. She was actually so happy that she thought she might cry. Aww, that's so nice to hear from your boyfriend's friends, like, oh, he's so much more friendly, he's better now, because he met a really great girl. Like, that's such nice praise. To know that her lover, the one she worried about more than anyone else, the most important person to her, had had an open-hearted space like this. That Haruki was able to help Koharu 2 years ago. That the two of them had been able to make it through without being crushed, without mutual destruction, had been because he had a place like this supporting him. Now, Koharu felt confident that what she was trying to do hadn't been a mistake. And again, like I mentioned in the last episode, if you have all of these support pillars, right? You have your friends, family, work, a hobby, you know, it can be whatever you want it to be, but as long as you have those pillars, it hurts less when one of them crumbles or when something happens. So him having a job is great. I think Koharu having a job is great too. I don't think it's great they work at the same place necessarily, but... So, Hamada-san, this means we don't have to worry about Kitahara anymore, right? If he's got a gal like this waiting for him to come home. Wait, you mean you were serious about that? What, Kizaki-san's business trip to Europe? Didn't that end up conflicting with your engagement gift exchange? Oh, are you getting married? Congratulations. By the way, what was that about Haruki-senpai? Brush off someone's engagement to talk about your boyfriend. While Koharu gave her utmost polite blessings, she was keenly interested in a few key words that had just cropped up in the conversation. Well, see, since I couldn't go anymore, I recommended that Kitahara go in my place, but Hamada-san doesn't seem to agree. Listen, all things considered, he's still only in his first year. He's right, Kizaki-san. Matchan aside, you've got me at least. Actually, I'd love to go. No, we gotta send a substitute in. Kitahara's definitely the only option. It's just a matter of language proficiency. What? That's cold, Hamada-san. Feel free to complain after you've made an A on the TOEIC. TOEIC is one of the biggest English language exams in Japan, and being able to get an A on it is pretty impressive. Hearing Haruki made the subject of a conversation that was out of her reach, both in name and in substance, as someone who had just started her job the day before, Koharu was elated. It may have been a work-related conversation that she couldn't follow at all, but regardless, Koharu listened to the trio's discussion in a pleasant mood. And actually, when it comes to this particular Europe trip, Kitahara might be more qualified than I am in the first place. What? Really? Truth is, it was the ensemble editor-in-chief who approached me about this. Said there was someone he wanted me to interview in Europe. Ensemble? That's a classical music thing. Someone from an orchestra somewhere? No, a pianist. Look, there's this super promising young Japanese player, right? Oh, you mean? Exactly. Kazusa Toma. She's the daughter of Yoko Toma. Dun dun dun. There's the name. There's the big name drop. Ah, gotcha. Then she would have been in the same school year as Kitahara. Toma, what did you say? Huh? In that instant, in spite of their moderate drunkenness, the trio felt a strange chill in the air, as though they had suddenly been kicked outside in the middle of winter. Can you imagine, like, her eyes are downcast and then the purple flames start coming up in the weird fog, like a creepy anime? I could totally see it. You're sending Haruki-senpai to meet with Kazusa Toma? Kohachi? What are you saying? What did I just hear you all say? Sugiura-san? It took several seconds for them to realize that the true source of this chill was an unexpectedly low, intense voice emitting from the lovely girl sitting before them. And the next thing Koharu said only invited them into further confusion. I'll go. Huh? What? Where? To Europe, obviously. What are you talking about? Can you imagine your second day of work? You're like, yes, I will go on the trip abroad by myself. That's what we're trying to ask you. Anyway, sending Haruki-senpai to Europe, to a dangerous place like that, I refuse to let him go. What? Wait, it would clearly be more dangerous for you to go, wouldn't it? I'll be fine. I went to Europe for my graduation trip. That's not the problem here. What? My language ability? Fine, I'll take the TOEIC before the trip, and I will be given an A. Hey, what's going on with you? I've cried a lot up to now, you know, and I've caused a lot of tears myself. Kohachi, that's not even remotely an answer. Oh, she's drunk. This drunk baby. The image of a weeping face at the window rose up in Koharu's mind. So, I can't. I don't want... The weeping face of the one who had been Kazusa Toma's best friend, Haruki Kitahara's girlfriend, wrapped in memories that had never been left her mind, heart-achingly beautiful and yet sorrowful. That was honestly one of the saddest scenes in the game for me, was the whole scene where Koharu met with Setsuna, and then Setsuna was bawling afterwards. It just, oof, so sad. No, I don't want this. I don't want Haruki-senpai to go. I don't want him to go. Hey, whoa, what are you doing? You two, do something. You don't care, do you? You don't care about me because you're the one who made me cry, Kisaki-san. Oh no, Kisaki-san. What? Me? Haruki-senpai? Kitahara, somebody call Kitahara. Up to this point, she'd been responding normally, so nobody realized it. But at this moment, Koharu Sugiura was already fully out of her head drunk. Ugh. The bright morning light shining in through the window exacerbated Koharu's headache more and more. It was the day after that feast of pandemonium. So, although these Japanese work parties are super casual and you're allowed to be on a more informal basis with your coworkers, you are not supposed to get blackout drunk. That is super embarrassing. You are not supposed to drink until you cry. And granted, Koharu just turned 20, which is the legal drinking age. This is still a super bad image to give her coworkers of herself so early on. The bright Koharu woke up to a familiar ceiling, one that she knew from seeing it about once a week. She was in Haruki's room. Next to her in the bed slept Haruki, looking dead exhausted for some reason. She checked the clock. It was 7:30 a.m. When Koharu tried to think of why her lover, who normally would have long since woken up, would be this fatigued, the numerous reasons caused another headache to assail her, and she rushed to the bathroom in an attempt to escape. Ugh. And now it was 8 o'clock. Having showered, Koharu faced her towel-clad reflection in the mirror and made the same anguished face that she had just seen on Haruki. She couldn't remember very clearly what had happened. Oh, if only that were true. I'm surprised she remembers anything, honestly, having drank that much shochu in 30 minutes. Forcing the members of the editorial department to sit down when they tried to leave. Oh no, that's awkward. Spending half an hour telling them about how she and Haruki got together, weeping and clinging to Haruki when he finally came to get her, begging him to carry her on his back. She wished she couldn't remember any of that. This job is completely unrelated to my private life. This all-too-false declaration ricocheted around the back of Koharu's head like a boomerang. So, this is one thing if it were just Koharu. But because Haruki's been there for a long time and because he's now a full-time employee there, that's horrible. To embarrass your boyfriend like that. Like, I know she didn't do it on purpose. I'm trying not to be too strict, but like, you insist on working the same place as your boyfriend, and then you immediately, the day after you start up all this trouble. Like, talking about, oh, how we met, oh, all this history, all these dark past. Like, that is not for you to say. I don't know. It just feels super wrong to me. And the email from one of her kind-hearted seniors who had taken all of these declarations down as though keeping minutes at a meeting just made Koharu feel more and more like running away this early in the morning. I can't go to that job anymore. She didn't feel that much regret over embarrassing herself or causing embarrassment for Haruki. Okay, well, you should. You should feel embarrassment for causing embarrassment to Haruki. It had never been one of her primary concerns to make a good showing in the first place, and her relationship with Haruki was past the point where this sort of thing would put any strain on it. Again, it should. I don't care how close you are. Something like that should put a strain on your relationship, at least for a bit. What hurt more than that was what she had been hiding. No, what she had been trying to hide this whole time. The intensity of her womanhood. The one reflecting in the mirror was, of course, Koharu herself. Showered, wrapped in a towel, her hair undone. Seeing herself with her sleek, naturally flowing long hair forced her to remember her violent emotions from the day before. She had never let Haruki see her hair like this. At this point, she couldn't say whether it was consciously or unconsciously. But, most likely, she would continue to keep herself from showing him this style. That's so sad. Because if you think about it, it's because she knows she kind of looks like Kazusa. And the only thing that really separates her looking like Kazusa is her ponytail. Of course, Kazusa has the nice narrow eyes, whatever, but with her hair down like that, Haruki might accidentally think of the past, and she wants to avoid that at all costs. So it's really sad. All right. Forcibly shaking her still aching head, Koharu began gathering her hair together and in her mind, she retracted her own words from moments before in an instant. Of course she would go to work today, and she would apologize to everyone. And, from now on, she would give it her all in that place, together with the one she loved. Her seniors might still be angry. If so, if she apologized with all her might and it turned into an argument, then, in the end, she would work fervently to reconcile with them. Come on, that's enough. I mean, I'm pretty intense. Intense enough that I would secretly show up with no warning at Senpai's workplace. There's no reason that my seniors wouldn't know that. There, all done. Secretly showing up at Senpai's workplace. See, that's another thing. They should have had a conversation about it, and that's why they ended up having a fight about it later on. That's a very immature thing to do. The usual ponytail in the mirror. This was the true Koharu Sugiura. The completion of this shameful, deeply jealous, foolish woman who belonged to Haruki alone. Good morning, senpai! With a bright, cheerful voice that gushed forth from her heart of its own accord, Koharu flung away the bath towel and slipped smoothly back into the bed where Haruki slept. What a strong girl to not have a horrid, horrid hangover after everything that happened. But she's strong, and we knew that. So, thank you so much for joining me on Koharu's After Story, and I will be back with future White Album 2 bonus content. So until then, hope you take care. See you!